again, welcome everybody, and certainly want to apologize to you personally because I was the one who was responsible for getting this started a little late. So we want to welcome you all. There's a lot of people on this webinar for obvious reasons, and we want to thank you for those of you around the world who are just kind of starting your day, ending your day here in the States, kind of beginning or in the middle of your day. We want to welcome you. As you know, we're all a group of team builders, active promoters within the TelexFREE LLC. We're here Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of each and every week to inform you, educate you, and give you the tools and resources so that you can build, manage, and develop a TelexFREE business that you can be proud of. As you'll see here in the notes, we just kind of want to focus on the news of what's going on out there and how it pertains to you and certainly your groups, your teams, and your networks. Those of us on this call here that you have kind of come to know, we have relationships with the Steve Labriolas, with the Jim Merrills, and LJ's had a lot of opportunity to get to know them even better with some travel, as you all know, down to Brazil last year. So, our relationships and our conversations with them are certainly quite productive and interactive, and we do that so that we're in the know right from the resource, and ultimately want to pass that on to you. We've made every effort throughout the year to be as transparent, honest, truthful, upfront with you, so that you can build, manage your network, groups, and teams. We've made an effort throughout the year to be, speakers of personality before profitability. LJ is a believer and a patriot of the phrase mission before commission. And with that all being said, we've had probably the last month or so quite a bit of turbulence in reference to e-wallet transactions, ads not being effectively posted, the site having some migrations to upgrades and that sort of thing. And we're going to kind of work our way around, the horn here so that you get certainly our perspective, but more importantly, you get the truth, because that's what matters, because each and every business, as you know, is different. And we speak of business in reference to the TelexFREE business. Everybody has a different activation date. Everybody has a different size network. Everybody has different intentions and purposes as to why they're part of TelexFREE, not just here nationally, but internationally. So on to topic number one here, you'll see a link there, and we'll go ahead and post that in the chat box so that you can take a look at that legal document, which is a state filing for the state of Massachusetts, indicating essentially that TelexFREE is against and up on the ropes. Ropes meaning kind of a boxing ring. My perspective and interpretation of that is, while it is a very lengthy read, it is not very favorable at all to TelexFREE. In fact, it's quite discouraging. But nonetheless, that is a document that is factual. It's filed by the SEC and the Division of Such in the state of Massachusetts. So that is something you can rely upon. Just as there were court filings down in Brazil when TelexFREE was going through its legal endeavors down in Brazil. Those are the documents you want to pay attention to, because that's what's going to be referenced and read by a judge in court. So pay attention to that. Others of you may be aware that there is a difference between a Chapter 7 and a Chapter 11. Chapter 11 filing in the state of Nevada by TelexFREE has gone through, or been conducted rather. We have heard that in the initial round that the filing was denied, which is at times can be normal practice, but nonetheless, we're here to give you updates, facts, and truth. So take a look at that link. It's certainly worth a read. And more importantly, here in the blue kind of highlighting of the notes here, there's an update call today with Steve Labriola. This is his second call. He had a call yesterday, and I apologize. In fact, Roy, I'll get it. There was a copy of the recording, and we'll go ahead and put that in the chat box too, so that you can hear what Steve Labriola had to say yesterday. So today, just go ahead at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We encourage all of you, or if you're not able, based on your time zone, to be on that call. Go ahead and encourage somebody from your network to be on that call so that you can stay informed as to where TelexFREE is going in the future. And I'll just kind of finish up here, and then I'm going to pass this over to Roy and LJ, and they're going to indicate some conversation that took place with us and Steve and Jim and Stuart yesterday. At the bottom there of TelexFREE customer and promoter service links, you'll see public relations at telexfree.com, media at telexfree.com, and 1099 telexfree.com. The yellow one is just specific to those of us here in the United States in reference to our tax filings and documents. The green one, any and all public relations matters that you want to pay attention to, or suggestions you have for TelexFREE. You want to guide that towards the green one. The pink one, media at telexfree.com. People likely, because of the the legal turbulence that TelexFREE is enduring right now, are going to be asking you quite complicated, questions that may be specific to them about their account. For example, well, I have all my money, in my back office, or my money is in e-wallet, or what do I do about, the future of TelexFREE? Not all of us are going to have, answers and reliable answers, let alone truthful answers to support those kinds of questions. What we encourage you to do is you've got access to that link, media, or that, email address, media at telexfree.com, and guide them there. That way, they're going to get the right kinds of answers. So with that being said, I know this is a turbulent time, but there's quite a bit of good that comes out of a Chapter 11 filing. Many companies, if you just look up Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing on the internet, you'll see hundreds of thousands and millions of articles pertaining to Chapter 11 filings. Some of the largest companies here in the United States have gone through a Chapter 11 filing. For example, airline companies, oil companies, banking companies. Those are essentially some of the largest industries here in the United States, and they go through a Chapter 11 filing. It's classified as a restructuring. Look at it as a remodeling of a home, or if you were to rebuild the engine of a car. So it's a good thing, and it's a frustrating thing for all of those. For example, the large companies that I made, or industries that I made reference to. It impacts the employees, impacts shareholders, impacts customers. It impacts the perception and opinion of the company. So all of us are certainly are going to endure some of that, just as the Brazilians endured it down in Brazil when they were going through legal matters. But that's enough from me. I just encourage all of you to stay focused on the facts, and perception is just that, perception. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, whether they provide it in a phone call, face-to-face, or in a variety of social medias. Perception is perception, and that's the way people often communicate today. So focus on the facts. I'm going to pass this over to Roy and LJ, and they can kind of highlight some of their awareness, and certainly the conversation that was had yesterday with Stuart, Steve, and Jim. So over to the two of you. LJ, why don't you take it away?
Hey Rob, thanks. Can you hear me?
I can perfectly, thanks.
Okay, how to start this day. Today I'm just recently, I just got home a little while ago and got some of this information about this new thing that has popped up there, the complaint from the SEC. I didn't have a chance to fully read it in depth, but I had a conversation yesterday that, for me, with Roy, seemed a rather positive conversation. It was a conversation with Jim Merrill, Steve Labriola, and Stuart, the new CEO. and it was a very positive call. It was a very typical call that we're used to, where they talked a little bit about the Chapter 11, gave us some information about what prompted the Chapter 11 and what they were doing, but didn't really give us too many details or facts. But all in all, it seemed like a rather positive call. They spoke of the new platform. They said to us that Jim and Jay would be on their way to move some of the hardware for the IT functionalities and things that they use for programming to the Boston area. They made it clear that they're working towards getting the platform. They understand that the Chapter 11's been filed, and they couldn't really talk much about it, and we hadn't heard from them in a couple of days, so we knew kind of that something was going on. With that regard, we talked a little bit about the bright future that TelexFREE has, and them being happy that our group's going to be a part of that bright future. And that's how the conversation went. Now, I'll give Roy a chance to really kind of give his opinion on the conversation. For me, it was pretty positive. You know, it was another line of communication, and we hadn't heard from them in a little bit. Once the Chapter 11 was filed, we immediately heard from them. We had an email exchange that was very positive. They got in touch with us. They got back in touch with us. They set up a call with us. And they said that they were doing that for a number of other leaders. We also found out that one of the top leaders in the company had put the word out to many of his international reps to fly into Boston and have a meeting with them as well to talk about what's going on and what's happening and moving forward. This was the day of, so this was kind of all on the fly, but I'm not sure what happened in that meeting with those international leaders, but I heard it was positive, and I heard it was talking about where they were going to go next and how they were going to build for the future of TelexFREE. And that's pretty much how the day went for me. I was happy to finally be able to talk to them again and get the information needed so that we could kind of give somewhat of an answer after the Chapter 11 information was released. And we asked pertinent questions such as what was going to happen with withdrawals and, were people still going to get paid. And they said at this moment the lawyers are handling all that, but we do see that happening as it should moving forward. They said that the process will take a little while with the lawyers taking over in regards to the Chapter 11, but they didn't give any inclination or show any signs of any waiver from the things that they were saying. I'm not really sure if Jim or Jay were actually in Boston when this claim was done today. They did say they were going to be in Texas and Miami doing some sort of tour for the IT improvements. So that's really all I got about the conversation. It seemed like a really good conversation to me, and I'm not really sure about this complaint. I'm still kind of taken back by the complaint. I see it on paper. It is on the internet. It looks official to me, but I don't really have much more on that than that. So, Roy, anything you want to share about the conversation that we had yesterday and from your perspective?
No, I'll just go over a couple of details to answer some questions that I've been getting. So, obviously we will not be able to post ads during this transition period. The back office system will be effectively shut down because they're going to, they're redoing that whole thing. As far as withdrawals and transfers, I assume that will all be put on hold because the court steps in and will control some of that. So I don't know. Some people said they did get money, that they had requested from their e-wallet account the week before, that was still coming. So that must have already been paid for. But I would imagine that withdrawals will stop, and we won't be able to post ads or anything. So we're going to have to wait and see how all this works out. There's really nothing we can do at this point except just take a wait-and-see attitude. And and we'll hear from Steve later this afternoon. We'll see what he has to tell us. And that's kind of all I have, guys. I don't have a lot of questions here to answer either, so I think it's just kind of a let's see see where we get to from here. I do understand that the customer accounts are still functioning. So if there are any customers using the VOIP network, that is still working from everything I understand. I think that's about yeah, so Wayne's asking about withdrawals, and you know, I think some stuff that you had already requested you might be getting, but you know, after that probably not. So
Yeah, strangely enough, a couple people on Skype said they got some withdrawals that were probably very close to being processed anyway. And, yeah, so that's kind of interesting.
yeah, so that's all I have, Rob.
Okay, I appreciate that, Roy and LJ. And you know, there's, for those of you who are international and trying to understand the SEC is an acronym for a governing body for all things that are financial here in the United States, called the Securities and Exchange Commission. Very similar, like the medical industry has a governing body. Most countries have some sort of Ministry of Finance, if you will, which is the governing body down in Brazil. Many of you remember you know, Carlos Costa videos where he was you know, identifying the receipt of the payment, the tax payment that he had made to the Ministry of Finance. So the SEC kind of acts like that, and they are the ones responsible for ensuring that all financial institutions and companies are operating under a code of conduct with ethical behavior, and it's making sure that things are done right. You know, the food industry does that too. It's called the Food and Drug Administration, making sure that all our foods are safe for ingestion, and you know, so that we are safe as people. So the SEC is kind of a internal safety measure for all things financial here in the United States. So when the SEC gets involved in something, in this case it's a complaint filing. It's not a decision, it is just a complaint. That, you know, what that does is it opens up additional inquiry and allows something, it's the next step. So, you know, for those of you internationally, just know that the door has been opened, if you will, that there is something's not right according to a governing body here in this case, in this country, it's called the SEC. So there's a process to it. Often it can be quite lengthy, as we experienced down in Brazil. Many people provide opinion about it. You know, you'll see it in the media, whether it's a newspaper, on television, in social media circles. You can expect that in the future here, and certainly in Massachusetts and in the United States, and I imagine other articles that were and sites that we're aware of that provide opinion from this industry or about this industry. I'm sure we'll you know, have quite a day with this and week, but that is essentially what the SEC does. You know, they're just they're a go-between, they're a governing body, but they are a force, you know, here in the United States, and a force not to be reckoned with. They are responsible for all of the banks, all of the financial brokering institutions, you know, anything that you can imagine here in the States, you know, it's kind of regulated financial by the SEC. So I hope that helps, you know, because I know there's quite a bit of internationals that are, you know, trying to make appropriate inquiry and just trying to understand how, you know, the United States here manages things financially and legally. But what's most important, you know, the three of us and the other, you know, team builders, Yolanda and Rodrigo, and who have been active, you know, participants here on these Tuesday and Thursday calls. You know, we're here to be of service to you, to provide you fact over fiction and perspective. We're going to be here on Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well, with more updates, so that you have facts of and that you can manage your business appropriately, both nationally and internationally. We encourage all of you to get on this call today with Steve. Steve did indicate as well when we were speaking to him, that he is going to provide frequent updates, because at a time like this, there's a variety of inquiry, and everybody just needs factual information. So while you're out there in internet land and social media land, just pay attention to one word. Look for the facts. Whatever we can do, we'll certainly be happy to help you. You can imagine we're quite busy ourselves, and if there are inquiries, we just encourage you to get them over to media@telexfree.com and public relations@telexfree.com. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be here Thursday. We're going to be here next Tuesday. We appreciate all of you. This is a time of inquiry and a seeking of fact. So with that being said, I'm done here. We'll see you all on Steve's call at 5 o'clock. You can see the links there as well as the phone number, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll see you again here on Thursday. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great, great day.
All right, goodbye, everyone. We'll get out any information that we can. Thanks, everyone.